in this video we are going to discuss about one of the important models of communication, that is Lasswell's model of communication. So if you consider this particular area in intermodal communication, we have different types of models to explore, and you can just categorize or you can just group these different models into different categories or groups. So Lasswell's model of communication is actually a part of the linear models of communication. So we have already explored Aristotle's model of communication, if you are remembering. So Aristotle's communication model is again a part, or it can be included in the linear models of communication, and Lasswell's model of communication again an important type of or model of communication that you can consider under this category. So in order to get into the details, or how you need to, in order to understand how you need to deal with this particular model, we'll be firstly looking at a previous year question that was asked from this area, and then we'll be moving into the details of this particular model and which are the perspectives in which you can expect questions will be also explored. Okay, so let's go to the question. So this is the question, and this was asked in June 2023 in the exam, and it's a statement type of question in which you'll be given two different statements. And statement 1 says, a study of the communicator in the communication process leads us to the content analysis, and statement 2 says an analysis of says what or the message is control analysis. So if you just focus to this particular question, we can identify that they haven't mentioned this Lasswell's model of communication in the question as such. But if you just focus on the statements, and if you learn or if you know what is Lasswell's model of communication and the various components in it, you can of course identify this as a question from Lasswell's model of communication. So let's begin, or let's look into the details of Lasswell's model of communication and which are the major elements or important parts of this particular communication model as well. So Lasswell's communication model views communication as the transmission of a message with the effect as the result. The effect in the case is the measurable and obvious change in the receiver of the message that is caused by the elements of communication. So Lasswell's communication model starts from a sender who sends a message and it ends in an effect. So what is that effect is all about? It is basically the measurable and obvious change that the receiver will be having, or the obvious change in the receiver that is happening due to the various elements of the communication or the message as such. So this is what Lasswell's communication model is all about. So it starts from a sender who is sending a message and it ends in an effect in the receiver. Okay, so in order to explain this particular communication model, Lasswell, whose full name is Harold Witt Lasswell, who is an American political scientist, and he has explored this model, or he has identified this model, and he describes it as an act of communication which actually answers several questions. So he has made these questions, and he's trying to say that this model is actually giving you, if you just find out the answers for these particular questions, that actually describes the art of or the act of communication. That is what he says. So he says that, or states that, a convenient way to describe an act of communication is to answer the following questions. So which are the questions that he's trying to answer here? Who says what, in which channel, to whom, with what effect? So these are the various questions that this particular man is asking. And if you're finding the answers for these questions, then you'll find out the proper description or the proper definition of an act of communication. So who says what, in which channel, to whom, with what effect? So let's look at these different questions and its answers so that you'll get the different elements in this particular model. The answer for who is the communicator, says what is the message, in which channel is the medium, to whom is the receiver, with what effect, of course it can be considered as the effect as such. So if you consider these answers for these questions, then we can identify the elements as communicator, message, medium, receiver, and effect. So these are the various components that we can identify in this particular communication model. So it starts from a communicator who is sending a message through a medium to a receiver, which actually results in an effect in the receiver. So these are the various components, or this is how you can describe the act of communication as a whole. And if you go through these different communication components, and if you just focus on each of these, and if you are trying to explore or research on these areas, then we can identify different kinds of analysis as well. So in this model, the communication components, who refers the research area called control analysis. So who is basically the communicator, right? So if you're trying to research research, or if you're trying to go deeper into, or if you're trying to analyze the who aspect of the communication or the communicator aspect of the communication, we can call it as a control analysis. Says what is refers to content analysis, that is the message, right? So says what refers to content analysis. In what channel, that is the medium, it refers to media analysis, and to whom is refers to audience analysis, to whom the answer is receiver. And if you are exploring that particular question in detail, we can call it as audience analysis. And finally it ends with an effect, right? So with what effect? So if you are referring to that, or if you are going deeper into that, it can be referred to as effect analysis. So we have control analysis, that is associated with the communicator, content analysis associated with the message, media analysis, that is again that is associated with the medium, audience analysis to the receiver, and finally effect analysis, that is particularly focusing on the effect. Coming back to the question that we have explored at the beginning, we have two different statements given here, and statement 1 says, a study of the communicator in the communication process leads us to content analysis. So it says that the study of the communicator. So what do you mean by the study of the communicator? The who aspect of the communication components, right? So the who aspect of communication refers to control analysis, it's not content analysis. So that is wrong. So that statement is wrong. The second statement says that an analysis of says what the message is control analysis. So the analysis of says what or the message can be termed as content analysis, and it's not control analysis. In the statement 1, they have given you the description of control analysis, but it is given as content analysis here. And in statement 2, we have the description of content analysis, and it is mentioned as control analysis. But anyway, both these statements are wrong. So statement 1 and statement 2 are incorrect, will be the right answer, that is option B. So in this video, we have explored one of the most important models of communication. Please do remember, this comes under the group linear models of communication. One among those we have already explored, that is Aristotle's model of communication, and this session we have explored Lasswell's communication model as well. So we have other communication models also in this particular group, and also we have other communication groups, or communication models can be categorized into other groups also. We have interactive models, transactional models and all that, and we have a lot of important models to explore in those categories as well. So a detailed explanation or a detailed analysis of these different models are available in our course, and which includes both offline and online courses. So we have a very detailed chapter on models of communication in our LMS platform also. So if you just go through that, you can identify all these types of models in detail, and we'll be discussing various questions from the previous year exams as well. So this is how you need to learn. Please do remember that you need a very systematic approach to this particular exam. Or if you're taking a particular area, please do remember that, or please do make sure that you're approaching it in a very net point of view. Okay, so that is what gives you marks, or that is what gives you or leads you to your goal as well. So if you want to know more about Appleby Academy's courses, please feel free to contact to the number that is given below. So that's it for this session. In the coming sessions, we'll be meeting with another topics. Till then, thank you and happy learning.